Mad Season's World of Warcraft's most crazy and unhinged moment video. This came out 6 days ago. I've been meaning to watch it, but we haven't had a chance to yet. I'm trying to think. I haven't seen it. I'm trying to think what's going to be in this video. Right? It's probably like the plague that got everyone killed in the cities. I'm trying to think what other like historic crazy WoW events. The funeral being raided in Classic, maybe. Yeah. The funeral crash. Yeah. That's probably in here. TBC launch, maybe just like server outages. Anyway, let's take a look. World of Warcraft's crazy and unhinged moments. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, this is a little different than I thought.
The MMORPG has gained a reputation of being quite possibly the most intense genre of game, and for good reason. They're easily the most time-consuming, holding various grinds and low percentage drops that encourage the same repetitive activity over and over for months, or for some, even years.
That's great.
Combine this with the fact that they never end. It's not uncommon these days for players to have several years of playtime accumulated in one single game, with a substantial portion of that time dedicated to certain items or rewards that would leave most rational people mystified of their obsessiveness. World of Warcraft, being a staple of the genre, is no different. So join me today as we begin a series of videos covering the most unhinged, craziest, obsessed, spectacular, and maybe even the most toxic moments in its history.
Toxic moments in its history, and it flashes to hardcore. Content creator Mad Skills HC's content primarily killing and reporting bots. Oh yeah, I mean, that's good.
But do you know what isn't toxic? Becoming a back-end developer with their premier learning platform.
It. There we go.
Boot.dev.
Right.
Boot.dev is a learning platform that offers hands-on lessons in Python, SQL, and Go. It's very interactive. Instead of just reading about it or watching a video, it actually gets you coding day one with real projects.
Okay.
And it also motivates you in this very RPG-like way with experience, levels, achievements, quests, bosses, and all while learning how to code. The median salary for back-end developers in the US in 2024 was over $100,000. And since I know you guys are such big fans of the MMO, it's also pretty safe to guess that the basement is your most natural and comfortable environment, which is good because programmers often work remotely. So you can be like me and never have light touch your skin. But if you do crave some social interaction, there is an active Discord community to reach out to if you ever have trouble in any of the lessons, as well as the AI-powered bear, Boots. And if you're unsure, they also offer a 30-day, no questions asked refund policy.
Nice.
So if it piqued your interest, there's no harm in trying. Try it today at boot.dev and use my code MADSEASONSHOW to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan.
Nice. All right, cool. Now we know. Oh, numbers.
Starting off with a little bit of crazy, we have the original Rank 14 grind. When World of Warcraft released in 2004, it was without a PvP.
Dude, I've never actually PvP'd on a warrior with like, you're in a battleground with like a healer behind you, and you're like just sweeping strikes whirlwind, and you're backed up. You're backed up with a healer, and you're just slashing through like a bunch of horde or alliance or whatever it is, and you're just like bah, 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 bah. You know, that would actually be pretty fun. That would actually be pretty fun. Yeah, you pop a fab, have some world buffs, sap her up, get some crits.
Starting off with a little bit of crazy, we have the original Rank 14 grind. When World of Warcraft released in 2004, it was without a PvP system. Players could attack each other in the open world on PvP servers, and also on PvE if they manually flagged or attacked a faction NPC.
Zoomed in.
But it was solely for the fun of it. You didn't get any form of ranking, you couldn't loot other players. There's purity in its simplicity, in the sense that the satisfaction came purely from making someone else's day worse. But when patch 1.4 came out in April of 2005, several months after its release, it debuted the honor system, and not too long after in patch 1.5, two battlegrounds, the Warsong Gulch and Altaric Valley, and in 1.7, the Arathi Basin. So all of a sudden there is a structure and reward system There were now 14 ranks of progression.
You know, this just made me think about something. If an MMO came out today and didn't have Battlegrounds for 6 months until after release, every gamer would be like, this is crap, we need Battlegrounds. But back in 2004, they actually had the advantage that gamers kind of sucked because there wasn't like the internet at large yet. So we didn't have like globalization at scale, right? We didn't have like YouTube videos and guides being made. We didn't have people just putting out like how to max level instantly, whatever. But now when a new MMO comes out, people do that. And they burn through all the content so quick. And then there's no BGs or anything to do. So people end up quitting and they say, this game sucks. But like Classic WoW had time to cook. Because like they launched it with like one raid. And like, actually, was Molten Core even out on launch? I think it was. No? Was there 0 raids? It just took people like months to hit max and get attuned. And like, bro, they had like nothing. So imagine today, a game like that came out, but we're all gamers. Like, we're going to talk about the best way to level. We're all speed level. We'll get to max and be like, oh, there's nothing to do, and then quit and say the game's crap. But back then, they had the luxury of, okay, this is going to take people like months to do. We can take 6 months to put out a battleground, another 6 months to put out a raid, and like people will be grinding, right? That's like interesting to think about, right?
And from killing other players, you would now gain an honorable kill.
Yeah, so someone's in the chat said that's what happened in New World. That's kind of like the comparison I'm drawing, not just to New World, but like any MMO. New World came out and there wasn't like Battlegrounds. Outpost Rush wasn't out yet, right? I don't think so. And there wasn't like that much to do at Endgame, but like the game was okay, but it didn't have the time. It didn't have 6 months or a year or two to put that out, because by the time they did, everyone quit, right? But WoW did have that time. You know, interesting.
And be awarded a currency called honor. The amount of honor gained would depend on a couple of factors, including the rank of the enemy player relative to your rank, as well as if you had help or not. On a weekly basis, all of this honor would be accumulated and counted for every player of your faction. These players would then be given ranks, ordered from the most to the least amount of honor obtained, and depending on where you're placed, and the total amount of participating PvPers on your server of your faction, you would be put into certain brackets which awarded a certain amount of ranking points. And finally, it would be these ranking points is what determined how much you progressed or regressed through this rank 14 system. At face value is a fairly simple idea, which boiled down to, if you want to rank up, you have to place relatively high in the list of active PvPers on your server for your faction. However, as simple as that sounds, it is known today as one of the most hardcore, no-life, grindiest, drama-laden features that has ever released in any MMORPG ever.
True.
For the simple fact that the amount of time that you needed to invest was equal to the sweatiest poop socks within your faction. The MMORPG attracts people of many backgrounds. You have the casual gamer dad who just logs on the weekends and maybe runs a dungeon or two. You have the little kid who trolls trade chat and invariably plays an undead rogue. You have the fully grown adult who trolls trade chat and invariably plays a human warrior. And of course, the poop sock. The person whose daily routine is to roll out of their bed.
Bro, look at this setup, man. Bro's got the pillow, the blanket, the GameCube, all the games, water, soda, food, TV. I mean, it's pretty perfect. I mean, what else do you need? We're pretty locked in. Oh my gosh. We even got the Hot Wheels up here. The yellow car, man. Wow.
A frame and box spring. Hasn't changed their sheets in over a year. If they even have any sheets.
Bro, we are so logged in here, bro. We got the laptop on the bed, multiple different meals to choose from. Is that a shoe? Yeah, it looks like a Nike. With I don't know, just the shoe, a cup of water, 4:30 a.m. That looks like you could be rank 14. This is like some rank 14 material right here, man.
And are probably locked in the soul-crushing grips of depression.
Bro, look at that, man. You have the bed, the PC, you play, you sleep, you play, you sleep. Oh my gosh.
They're probably locked in the soul-crushing grips of depression. They log into World of Warcraft, they queue for Warsong Gulch for 18 hours, then go to bed, and rinse and repeat. And before you think I'm shitting on people, I actually lived this life. The one minor difference being I did Arathi Basin instead of Warsong Gulch, because Arathi Basin is superior because you don't have those situations where you have both teams turtling and then it goes on for 3 hours unless you AFK. I also have...
I like Warsong Gulch way better, but he's not wrong in that reasoning. Sure, yeah, you could have a super annoying Warsong game, but I in general, I like Warsong a lot.
The box spring. It isn't just the sheer amount of time that's required to reach the end, but it's also the consistency, as at any point if you choose to go outside and you fail to play, in some cases sometimes for even a day, you stand the risk of losing weeks of progress. It is by far one of the most intense no-life systems ever to be implemented in any MMORPG ever. Depending on how many people are participating on your faction, there are only a certain amount of spaces per bracket, and the higher rank that you get, the more ranking points are required, not only to progress, but also to even just maintain your rank. You always decay ranking points on a weekly basis, and it's percentage based, meaning that the higher rank you are, the more you decay, which equates to the higher upkeep. So as intense as it is, it becomes even more intense the higher rank that you achieve. There's 100% the sum.
Wait, this is a dumb question. I think I know the answer to this, but back in the day, when you got High Warlord or Grand Marshal, it was for a week, you'd buy all your gear, and then you couldn't keep it up, and you'd drop out, right? Correct? Man, it's in my memory bank, but for some reason I kind of forgot about that because it was different, obviously, in SOD and Anniversary. Wow, that's crazy. You put all that work in, you get the weapons, and you're out. You don't even keep the title.
And cost fallacy that sets in pretty quickly because if you suddenly decide to choose not to PvP or something happens in your personal life, you lose rank and you lose all of the time you've invested for weeks or months. No one wants to be the person who got 2 pieces of the purple PvP set. And once you get to a certain point, it's like, well, there's no turning back now. It's time to put your foot on the gas.
Very toxic, yeah.
Commit. Ditch the girlfriend on the incredibly small chance that you had one already, and push it to the fucking limit.
Dude.
Wake up, PvP for 18 hours, sleep, repeat. The burnout is intense. And it's something of a meme within the community that the first thing that people do when they reach rank 14 is...
Wait, so how old is Mad Season? Because, like, I'm 32. In 2004, 2005, I was, whatever math that comes out to, like 11 or 12. Like, I couldn't play 18 hours a day. He's like 30. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. I didn't start playing 18 hours a day until I was, like, in college, I think. So, late 30s. Okay, yeah, maybe that makes sense. He's like a little bit older, so yeah, the timing does maybe make sense.
Quit the game and never play it again, or at the very least, never PvP again. People account share all the time, which Blizzard infamously lets slide on a regular basis. So unless you want to cheat, that's just even more time commitment. And all of this doesn't even take into account the social aspect, since it is such an intense grind. What communities would often do is to try to organize the brackets. Communities would form together and direct players to farm a very specific amount of honor on a weekly basis to land in these certain brackets. Access to this highly autistic club was gained by PvPing enough to threaten this predetermined order of brackets, at which point someone would whisper you to join a Discord event or whatever they used back in 2005. Once you're in, you would be assigned a certain amount of honor to farm. And
it's true. And if you guys played Classic, you know about the Gurubashi Arena Mafia as well, right? There's an Excel spreadsheet with a list of names, and you've got to get on that spreadsheet. And if you're not, you're gonna get blacklisted. Yeah, the Mafia is gonna take you out, bro. I had firsthand experience with this back in 2019. There was a dueling tournament for $50,000, so of course I wanted Arena Grandmaster. So I went to the arena to try to collect one of the trinkets. Little guy's singing a song. I was met by the Mafia. That was not allowed. They had a whole list of names. A whole list of names for who's getting the trinket next for like 15 people out. And so I got in contact with the Mafia and I go, hey, look, guys, there's a tournament coming up, $50,000. I need to get bumped up this list so I can actually like get the trinket in time. Yeah, they didn't care. The Mafia did not care at all. So it was either like you join them or you go to war with the Mafia. You try to create your own Mafia. I mean, it was nuts. I actually did end up getting that trinket, and I don't remember how. I think we came to some middle ground somehow. It's been a while, but yeah, that happens.
You would stop at that number exactly, and if you failed to comply, you would become what is known as a bracket breaker, which would essentially set the entire PvP community against you. You wouldn't be invited to pre-made groups, and any pre-made group that would invite you would be blacklisted themselves. This is considered the worst sin in the PvP community, and repercussions range from in-game harassment to sabotage. I know in my server in Classic 2019, there was such a bracket breaker, and what happened was that someone actually pretended to befriend them for the better part of 2 months in order to gain their trust. The bracket breaker queued Warsong Gulch over and over at the Alliance entrance in Ashenvale for some reason. And once the saboteur gained their trust one day, as they were in a match, they gathered a number of NPC civilians from the nearby Horde hub and kited them to this Alliance entrance, and timed it such that when the bracket breaker finished their match, they killed this horde of civilian NPCs, which would immediately derank both they and the bracket breaker, which of course erased hundreds of hours of investment in the blink of an eye. As sociopathic as all that was, it was actually quite effective, as the bracket breaker never logged in again. Earning these slots often meant mandatory participation in what were called pool parties, where someone would get a character of the opposite faction and walk to a graveyard somewhere near a starting zone and take resurrection sickness over and over while getting killed by a player of your faction. And what you would do is you would have the entire PvP community in this bracket system make level 1 characters, join the party, and stay within range until they reached 25 honor kills.
Usually I'm all for like keep it the way Classic had it, but I am so happy they changed the ranking system. Like, so happy. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this is like a soft perspective, but this, like, thinking about this just sucks. Like, oh my gosh, it was brutal.
Which was the minimum requirement to be counted as an active PvPer for that week. By doing this, the amount of players that fit into each bracket were increased, thus allowing for more ranking points and faster ranking for everyone.
Wow.
Beyond this, there are the classic spicy PvP death threats, real life harassment, and all sorts of crazy shit. I think that I may have had a particularly spicy time, considering that I ranked on Fairlena in 2019 Classic, which even from before release was considered to be the Mos Eisley of servers.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
It was a streamer server, so it was incredibly competitive.
Okay, yeah, I thought he was going to say incredibly toxic because of streamers, but he didn't say that, so because that obviously wouldn't be true. Because so I had to pause the video and call him out on that, which is not true, because that's not the case. So,
but even still, from 2004 to 2026, the Rank 14 system to this day goes down as one of the most intense, degenerate, toxic systems that has ever graced the MMORPG genre.
That's fair.
And so much to the point that in recent re-releases, Blizzard has nerfed it into the Weenie Hut Junior version where rank never decays, which means that players could eventually reach this coveted rank 14 without sacrificing their social life in the process.
That's good. I like that. Maybe it's soft, but casuals. I like it. So Mad Season's the guy saying it's casual. Yeah, bro. Yeah, sunk cost fallacy. Of course, you did it in 2019, bro. Like, look, it's better for everyone else. All right. Like, yeah, it is. Okay, it is a little soft, but it is better. What was this?
Vanilla World of Warcraft in a lot of ways represents the Wild West of the MMORPG. The class balance is almost non-existent. There are low-level items that are some of the most coveted endgame, and it's filled with a ton of RPG elements that today are seen as clunky and archaic. But for many, These are the exact reasons why they play it. The entire game wasn't covered in bubble wrap. There were little to no rules.
Nice.
And compared to today, players would have a lot of freedom within the world. However, for the next entry, some would say maybe a little too much freedom, as we have city griefing. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You're just minding your own business, using the auction house. Then, holy shit, dragon, ah!
That's actually kind of sick,
I have
though.
to first mention the OG, and that's the Doomlord Kazakh. This is something that the 2019 run didn't experience, but up until patch 2.0 in the original vanilla World of Warcraft, there was a world boss in the Blasted Lands known as Doomlord Kazakh. He'd eventually moved to the Outland, where he became an outdoor raid boss over there in the Hellfire Peninsula, assigning his subordinate High Lord Cruel to take his place. But Kazakh makes the list as one of the many bosses that people would kite to Stormwind. What made him extra dangerous was his Shadow Bolt volley, which, if it killed a player, would heal him. So between the continuously spawning low-level NPCs and unsuspecting players, once he was in the city, there was no killing him. He would rampage all around, bodies would pile up, trade chat would go crazy, and it would go on until the GM specifically intervened and ejected him from the city. This would be a regular occurrence until a hotfix was implemented to leash him back after a certain distance from his spawn point in the Blasted Lands, making him the only NPC in the game at the time to have this special rule.
Bro,
he would go down as one of the first major city clearing incidents in the game's history. And as it would turn out, it would be followed by many others.
Teramis!
More commonly, there's Teramis the Devourer from the same zone. This is actually a rare spawn that you're supposed to kill with the group. And if you're successful, you would receive one of those blue Draenithus orbs that you could trade in for a rare item. However, most Alliance know him as a returning nuisance, as bored hunters will invariably eventually kite him to Stormwind, where he'll use his AoE Fire Breath to take out any unsuspecting players. Unlike Kazakh, he was not a raid boss, so once enough high-level players were aware of his presence, he was usually taken down pretty quickly, which is good because Blizzard, of course, no longer has any humans working as GMs.
Wow.
In 2005, the Gildagoon Squad did the same thing to Orgrimmar with Jaina Proudmoore, who would rack up kills with her AoE blizzards. They also found an interesting strategy to AoE farm Alliance players by gathering everyone up with a flask of petrification, and then resurrecting all at once and spamming AoEs to rack up some quick honor. Also in Orgrimmar, we have Gammon, who's become something of a meme in the game. He was part of a rogue quest where you needed to pickpocket him, but there was a glitch to where if a priest would mind control him and brought him to the auction house, he would annoyingly boot everybody out of the interface. Blizzard eventually fixed it by making him a high-level elite that's immune to mind control. He also had Geddon's Bomb from the Molten Core.
Yeah.
This is, of course, the big timed AoE bomb that he would put on raid members, and they have...
Yeah, you want to get out when he's doing the fire. You want to run away, because if you run in the fire, you'll die, and if you run away from the fire, you won't die. So that's the mechanic here.
To run away from the raid group in order to not blow them up. But what guilds would do is they would sometimes summon someone who got the bomb into the auction house or any other densely populated area to blow people up. Beyond this, he also, of course, had the Blood Plague from Zul'Gurub, which somebody would get on their pet, dismissed it, and then resummoned it in a major city where it would then spread.
Yeah,
kind of like a test run for the whole COVID thing. It was something that kind of took over every single server as it became uninhabitable for low-level players in particular. But whatever the case was, player city griefing led to some of the most memorable and crazy moments in the game's history.
Definitely. All right, what else? DPS, yeah.
A term used quite often in the MMO is
parsing,
DPS, short for
fair
damage
enough.
per second. It's a stat that's used to gauge the consistency of damage during a single fight. With bosses, it can range, but generally it's around several minutes. Anyone who's ever played the genre knows it, but what about DPH? Damage per hour. In what insane world are fights so long that you would ever need to use this stat? Next, we're taking a field trip to the world of Final Fantasy XI.
Damage per hour? Oh my goodness,
Yeah, I know
man.
the video's titled World of Warcraft, but I'm going to cheat because it's a cool story and talk about a boss that a guild was engaged for a total of 18 hours, which is the Pandemonium Warden. Although 2008 certainly wasn't the birth of the genre, you can still find a lot of unorthodox things within it. In Final Fantasy XI, it was no different, and one boss in particular, the Pandemonium Warden, would make headlines with how difficult it was. This was a Tier 5 Zenny NM boss. Yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what that is either.
Casual. Nah, don't worry, I don't either. I have no idea how this game works, but from what I can tell, NM is short for Notorious Monster, which were plot-related, quest-based NPCs within the game. They were extra difficult mobs with higher stats and special attacks. They awarded exclusive loot, and they also spawned rarely within the world. It transformed between a whopping 11 forms. Yeah, remember Dragon Ball Z where the big bad had like 3 different forms?
Yeah, I
this one
remember
had
that.
10, along with its base form, all of which you had to defeat in order to kill it. Each form change spawned these supporting lamp mobs that each had 25,000 HP with regeneration. You needed to have 3 tanks. One tank would constantly kite the lamps around, and yeah, okay, I don't think anybody has the context to understand any of this shit, so I'll just summarize it. It's pretty fucking hard. He had 11 forms, insane health.
Hopefully it gave you some pretty darn good loot. Bro, if I was spent 18 hours killing a boss and it didn't drop anything I could equip, I would be so mad. Like, legendaries, man. Epic items, shiny things, upgrades, DPS, something, man.
And it took forever. It would hit headlines around the internet in 2008 when a guild of 36 players marathoned him for 18 hours. They didn't substitute out. As explained by one of the members, they played for the full 18 hours as adrenaline took over. And when they failed to claim the kill and the adrenaline wore off, they became physically ill as they began to faint and vomit.
Bro!
Imagine not only fainting during a boss.
Fainting and vomiting? Go take a break for a second and rotate back in. That's crazy.
But also waking up covered in your own vomit, only to find that you failed to kill it. Yeah. This was still relatively the early days in the MMO genre, and so it was still largely experimental. Sometimes when developers made a boss, they would just arbitrarily assign it insane health, give it a few unique abilities, maybe a unique model or a palette swap, then call it a day. If the players could kill it, cool. And if they couldn't, that's also cool because it meant even more time investment to get better gear so that they could eventually kill it. In fact, it was better because it meant more months of subscription. But in this instance, it would spawn this huge wave of news articles, and it actually launched studies on the addictive and unhealthy nature of the MMORPG genre, which caused Square Enix, the developer of the game, to send an in-game message upon every time you logged in that they do not wish to see lives suffer as a result of extensive play, as well as nerfing the Pandemonium Warden along with other bosses, as they quite clearly feared incoming lawsuits in this intriguing early era of the MMO. But that about does it for this episode. This whole subject is an immense can of worms, and this is just scratching the surface. There's no way I could do it all in one video. It'd be 12 hours long. I do plan on returning, not just to World of Warcraft, but other MMOs as well, so if you enjoyed the video, stay tuned for more. I want this to be a long-running series for the channel. Thank you for watching this episode. Like it if you liked it, because I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Thumbs up. Very nice, Matt Season. What other crazy and unhinged moments? So he had people dragging world bosses in, the plague spreading, rank 14 grinding, and the Final Fantasy 18-hour kill, and griefing people with like Baron Geddon bombs. I'm trying to think what would be in there. It's like some of the stuff. The Warrior 52 talent point bug, Death Wish kills, Tiny Violin, okay. Boost is in the shop at $60. Well, that's about exactly what we thought it would be. Let's see.